My dear friends, this is a very, very important panel. We are going to go to the pharmaceutical giants, right? We are going to put them on the stage here. And rather than this being a very casual, fun talk, I'm going to try and test you, sirs. We will try to take the role of a user, a patient, and try to bring up the patient experience and the challenges which they possibly can face. Some of our arguments and comments may be stretching the regulatory lines, which as laymen we may or may not know. But for this session, I will encourage every one of you to try and wear either a patient hat yourself, or think of this one person in your family, friends, who is on continuous medication, who needs anywhere from a few hundreds to a few thousand rupees of medication which goes in that person's systems every month. That user who's relying on these companies to make his or her life better. And these questions should come from that perspective. Can we do that, my friends? Okay, can we make sure that this panel is maximized in terms of value? If we can, please put your hands together for yourself. I know I am the one standing between you and the lunch. So this is obviously a difficult panel to do that, but the most important one. So please, I will look forward to all your support and help. Any question that will come in, any thought that triggers in your mind, please try to bring that forward. I would like to invite for this amazing panel right now, I have the pleasure to invite Syed Nadeem Ahmed Saab, the CEO of Searle and IBL Group. आपने पहले ही बता दिया था कि मैं पैनल पे हूं तो मैंने कहा सबसे पहले आपको बुला लो ना यहाँ पे Tokirul Haq Saab, the CEO of Sante. Tokir Saab's smile has been lightening the room since morning. Yeah, whenever he's been around. I will like to invite Haroon Qasim Saab. He's the Managing Director for Farm Evo. There you are, sir. A pleasure having you. And lastly but not least, obviously, Javed Ghulam Mohammed Saab, I know Ali just put you on spot there, but the group MD and the CEO of the Martin Doe Group, Javed Ghulam Mohammed, please, if you can join us. So while it is an absolute pleasure to share the stage and sit here, I am going to keep my promise and be on the other side of the stage and act as a patient myself and put questions to the pharmaceutical giants. Ladies and gentlemen, in this ecosystem of healthcare, the pharmaceutical companies are probably the biggest players, right? And hence, all the fancy documentaries and the fiction and the novels are also written about the industry, right? The interest is there so deep. And yet, all of us depend upon what you give us, you prescribe us for the health of ours and our loved ones. So I'm going to start with Nadeem Saab from you. What do you think the pharmaceutical industry have done right or really bad in the past 75 years to help with the healthcare system of this country?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much for inviting me here. I've been listening very nice discussion about the technology, and I have no doubt that the IT companies involved here, the new startups, and of course the senior executives from information technology will bring very soon Pakistan a conversion from in-clinic to online prescription and drugs delivery. But I would like to take the momentum of this conference, the health conference, to another level. That what exactly is the problem? Converting the data from hardware to software and transforming into an online from in-clinic is going to be happen very soon, because we are living in this now in the metaverse where things are changing so quickly and so fast. But my question is that what Mr. Nadeem Malik was saying a while ago, that 92% the software will let you know exactly better than a doctor your oncology problem. My question is, do we have that oncology drug available in Pakistan? Do we have that medicine available in the country which can treat that patient who is suffering from cancer? So my point is that in the last 75 years, what has happened to the pharmaceutical industry in Pakistan, way back, I'll take you a little small journey to the history that in 1947, when Pakistan came into being, at the same time India, the Abbott company was granted manufacturing license in India and Pakistan together, and that was the first manufacturing license given by the Ministry of Health Pakistan and the Ministry of Health India, with the commitment that in the next 5 years you're going to produce API in Pakistan and India. What happened in Pakistan after 5 years? They have been granted permission to extend, because according to Abbott, the volumes are not so high that we're going to produce API in Pakistan. But in India, they rejected their application. They forced them to produce raw material in India. And then what happened today? India is exporting more than $20 billion raw material to the global world. In 1970, after 1947, Mrs. Indira Gandhi sat down with the top manufacturers of that time in India and said, I want to improve the export of India. They said, we can't export like this unless we get the approval from MHRA, European authorities, and US FDA. She said, go and get the approval. What is stopping you? They said, we can't afford. She said, okay, if any company will get FDA approval, we will reimburse the expenses. And then what happened today? After 50 years, they've got 550 facilities and plants in India. Those are approved by US FDA. In 90s, they got another challenge of pricing. And you remember that, probably or not, that in 90s in Pakistan, the pricing was decontrolled, and some of the molecules and substances were controlled. In India, 100% industry was controlled. But in 90s, they decontrolled the pricing, and Pakistan controlled the pricing. And then today, they are $42 billion industry. And look at the vision. From 2020 to 2030, their vision is to bring their industry up to $100 billion US. And from where they're going to bring this $100 billion? They're going to bring it from the emerging portfolios. They are working on drugs where we are not working. They are leading the world for making combinations of drugs. Each and every company in India is setting up their R&D center. Every university and educational institute is setting up the R&D center. Unfortunately, in the last 75 years, neither we were able to get any FDA approval plant in the country, nor we got any substance or molecule registered in the world which can be sold to the global market. And very badly said that our exports are not also reached somewhere is a very limited. And we are still dependent upon the API importing from India, China, and other countries. More than 95 APIs we are importing. Recently, I've seen an API policy approved by the government of Pakistan. Wonderful to see that API is being approved now. But I'm surprised that it is just like that you are approving a license to manufacture landline telephone. In the age of biotechnology, genome sciences, stem cells, biodevices, electronic devices, electronic data, and IT world, we are talking about producing API now, which is declining every year. And it just seems like in the next 10 to 15 years, the global pharmaceutical canvas will be changed. It will be totally emerged by the emerging portfolio. And if we will not bring that portfolio to Pakistan, then I'm worried that what will you going to happen with this information, whether you are treating a patient in clinic or online. The challenge is to Pakistan healthcare sector is to work with the world and to bring the latest science, latest medicines to the country. And I request to the government of Pakistan, especially the DRAP, that they should help the Pakistan pharmaceutical industry to work on the modern lines. Otherwise, the way our exports are declining, I am worried that what's going to happen in the future. One of my panelists' friend said that Pakistan got, mashallah, 100 million vials of vaccination. It's a great example of success and achievement. But I would like to ask everybody sitting here, including my friends, that who produced that 100 million vials? not a single vial being produced here in Pakistan. Still 60 million vials are lying there with the custody of the government of Pakistan given by the Pfizer. So my question to myself is that how I'm going to support the Pakistan and my patient if I will not improve myself, if I will not improve my industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadeem Saab. That was a very detailed analysis for the regulatory and the enablers' role in ensuring this patient experiences and what that needs to be done. But we're going to move the ball more in your court, in the pharmaceuticals court, right? So there are things that we control, and then there are things that we all rally behind and try to control. Javed Saab, agar main aapse पूछूं that do you think that we have been able to, are we lagging behind the world in terms of how we do our prescriptions? Do we follow the same kind of protocols? Have we enabled the ecosystem to match the kind of treatments that are happening globally?
Assalamu alaikum ji, everybody. Thank you very much for inviting me here to the organizers. I think I'll take the lead from what Nadeem Saab said. I think I'll talk about a few of the positive things and achievements that pharmaceutical industry has made over the year. If you analyze the pharmaceutical industry of Pakistan, so basically we are a formulation industry. So we are not manufacturing active pharmaceutical ingredients, which are raw material in Pakistan. So from a formulation industry point of view, there has been a significant progress because right now we are producing almost 85 to 90% of the medicine locally in Pakistan, and only 10 to 15% are imported, which are still, there are technology dependent for which the pharmaceutical industry is working, which includes biotechnology, biosimilars, oncology, hormones. We are lacking in those technology, but the way we are looking, the way we see the progress, that there has been a lot of technology transfer going on, or inshallah ta'ala very soon we'll be producing biotech in Pakistan too, at a basic level. So I think that there is a good progress. Now, coming from a local pharmaceutical industry, because when I started my career way back like 25, 30 years, at that time the multinational was, multinational means the innovators, the innovative companies. They were like having a market share of almost like 60 to 70%. But this ratio has changed. And now we can see that 70% of the market is with the local companies. Now, how this has developed? Because this is the confidence of the medical community, the doctors, on the quality of Pakistan pharmaceutical medicine. This is the reason we have seen the switch from an MNC to the innovative to generic products. Now this trend is not like abnormal trend, because if you go to US, when the patent is expired of any research-based product, you will see the market erosion of almost like price erosion of almost 50% and market shift of almost 50 to 60% towards generic. So Pakistan as an industry, we are also following the same trend. This is because of the confidence of the quality of the pharmaceutical medicine in Pakistan by the patients and the medical community. So there has been a good progress. Now, what we are lacking, as Nadeem Saab was explaining, that the API forms the major contribution in the overall, like the formulation of the pharmaceutical industry, and we don't have many API plants in Pakistan. This is one area where we really have to focus. We need to be self-sufficient. We need to save our foreign exchange. We need to do the import substitution here, which is very, very important for the country. So this is one area where we need to work. The second most important area is the high-tech products, which include vaccines, which includes biotechnology, biosimilars. This is the area where most of the treatment nowadays, the guidelines are moving towards the biosimilars. So monoclonal antibodies, and these are all kind of technologies that are not actually manufactured locally in Pakistan. So this is one area where we as an industry has to work, and the only way to work is through the tech transfers. So we can learn from the West, we can learn from the developed markets of the world and bring this here. The third important area is that we were talking about the data, because in the previous session also, we said that a lot of data is available in Pakistan. But unfortunately, if you see that spending on healthcare, the GDP percentage of spending is 1.2% by the government here, which is very low. By any standard, if you compare it with any part of the world, any economy of the world, this is very, very low. And I'm from a pharmaceutical industry, and if we notice that in 80% of the pharmaceutical market that we see is a private market, only 10 to 15% is the institution market, which covers both government and private. So you can imagine that the patients here, they are all relying on the private medical treatments. So they are, in fact, they are bearing all the expenses on their own. And now, if you look at the hospitals, the private hospitals are divided, scattered into small, medium-sized, and large hospitals. So there is no centralized data available in the country about the patient and about the lifestyle or the health-related data is not available. Nadra is one example where we can have the age, the date, the address, and everything. But we don't know exactly how many diabetic patients are there in the country. We were working with Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan recently for one of our product related to epilepsy. And they asked us to submit the prevalence study of epilepsy in Pakistan. Believe me, the latest prevalence study that we got from the record was 2006, right? After that, there is no prevalence study conducted in Pakistan for epilepsy. And there are many diseases like this. So we need to have organized, structured CRO in the countries who can help to develop a national health policy for Pakistan. And I think this is much needed. The data needs to be available, and once it is available, we need to integrate that in order to have the quality decision making and to formulate a national health policy for the country.
Thank you so much. I think you've touched quite a few touch points, starting from product development to the experiences of the patient that come later. So I'll put the question to Harun Qasim Saab and Taqeerul Haq Saab. Both of you can take that, or one of you would like to take that. ये जो अब हम बात कर रहे हैं इस डेटा की and the need to use technology to create products which are relevant for our own market, which are more localized. Maybe आजकल the latest talk is about creating medication plans and and products which are for smaller groups because the data allows you to create plans for them. So do you think that the pharmaceuticals are doing enough, or what can they do more to create more products using the technologies that are available?
Thank you. I think taking the data, just remember one study, that 50% of the medicine don't work on the 50% of the people. So now the world is going on a precision medicine, and very targeted. So we are actually going back to the old school where, actually आपका जो compounder था ना वो drug बनाता था, So the world is going towards that. The monoanticlonal bodies हैं या जो targeted medicines हैं will actually, go and do the specific. So for example, if you have to take an antibiotic, if I have to take 250 milligram, some 50% of the people will not be, will not be affected with them. So how much they need? 250, they need 260, they need 275. So it's going to change. Right now, we are going on a mass production, the pharmaceutical industry is talking about the mass production. But gradually the world is going towards precision medicine. And I think Pakistan is still far away. But the world is global village now. I was actually looking at the YouTube and the vaccine, the COVID vaccine, which has come out in the shortest period of time, in the world history. The company Biotech N has actually put on the web how to manufacture the vaccine. They've actually put the whole thing on this, and it's a 3-minute video which actually teaches you how to go into the production. So the technical people exactly know, how to do that. So the world is changing. I think taking lead from my friends in the industry, we still have a long road to go, no doubt about it. But I think we have covered a long road as well. So with the technology, things will shorten definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sir, would you like to add something to this?
I would like to, first of all, congratulate the AIMS for conducting this excellent summit in which we are able to, interact with diverse experience, and this activity should be continued. And now I would like to take the talk from Dr. Nadeem, which he said very positively that over the last 70 years, you can see that the pharmaceutical industry has evolved tremendously in Pakistan. And as Javed Saab was saying, that 70% market share is with the national pharmaceutical companies. So despite all the challenges and hardships we face during this evolution, this is quite heartening that the national pharmaceutical companies are almost 90% need of medicines are being catered by national pharmaceutical companies, especially when lots of multinational companies has they wind up their business from Pakistan. Now the next step is that as we know that we are moving towards technological advancement globally. And pharmaceutical industry is one of the prime recipient of these new technologies. And the latest automation in our manufacturing processes is reducing the rate of error, and it is improving the efficiency. So I think lots of tech companies are sitting here. So we are looking forward to effective data management through ERP systems like SAP. And these, you should be able to provide that sort of solution which is pharmaceutical specific, so that you can contribute and work together with us to ensure that we are able to run our manufacturing facility ably, effectively, accurately, and it also leads towards reducing the cost, and so that we are able to provide necessary and essential medicine at an affordable price for the patients. And similarly, like pharmaceutical companies, like other industry also, they are also, subject to various compliance regulations. So I think the GRC strategy should be adopted, which should ensure that companies comply all applicable, they can comply to all applicable laws and regulations, so that we are able to improve our efficiency and effectiveness. So I think there is a lot of, if I see that we should look into the fact that all the giants, tech companies are sitting here, so they should provide industry-specific implementation and solutions, so that we are able to, improve. We should go beyond this, that we are, having 70% market share. So they should, provide us ecosystem which is very effective for telemedicine and telehealth. And for telemedicines, yes, we are talking quite a lot about it, but I think the main issue that this is if we see that this is basically, we are thinking about the concept of bringing telemedicine in pharmaceutical industry. It's a great idea, but the success lies only on the implementation and execution of this. So executional excellence will only come when the triangle of three important factors like pharmaceutical industry, medical community, and government. We all work together to bring us a reliable and workable solution to this. तो उसके लिए जैसे कहना कि ज़रा नम हो तो ये मट्टी बड़ी ज़रख़ेज़ है साकी. So we should work together to see towards this development.
This is a beautiful spirit of collaboration, and we are all here for that. So please put your hands together. I mean, that's the kind of a credibility and trust we all look forward to the biggest enablers in this ecosystem. So that brings me to a very different personal touch point of a user experience. I am a son to two elderly parents who spend a certain amount of money, and I'm being their primary caregiver, on certain medicines which they have on a monthly basis, right? Like most of our family members have that. And they would spend anywhere between 15K to 30,000, and obviously the pricing can vary depending upon the product you're using, but generally on an average on their on their medicines. Now, if I'm a Food Panda user and I order food worth 5,000 rupees a month from them, I am a very privileged customer as a user. All the information, I feel that I am being taken care of. I feel that they are trying to help me make my life easy. But here I am, a user spending 25 to 30K in many instances to only one brand, or the major price of that sometimes is to one or between two brands that I am using, and I have zero connection with the company itself as a user. So now I understand that it has to come through pharmacists and doctors, but as a user, I ask myself sometimes that, where is the connection that I have with the companies? What are you doing to enhance my experience other than the efficacy of the product that I am using in trying to enhance my overall experience? I mean, the world is ripe these days about terms which talk about wraparound solutions or beyond the pill solutions that the pharmaceutical companies globally are thinking about. So, do you see something happening over there? Can we create a relationship which is direct with the user to the pharmaceutical company where that user experience is maximized?
Can I? Okay, I'll give you very interesting perspective on it. Number one, that the pharmaceutical industry, as per law, cannot connect directly to the consumer.
Absolutely.
We go through a customer, and that is a doctor. So we are not allowed to go directly to the patient because we don't know what medicine is the right medicine for the patient. Number two is that the Pakistan economics, about $300 billion economy of Pakistan. The 50% is your food factor goes only, 150 billion. And even a 16 years old boy and girl at home can decide to eat McDonald's, KFC, and Pizza Hut. So we spend more than $150 billion for food, but we spend only 1% for healthcare. The total industry size is not more than $3 billion or $3.2, $3.5 billion, which shows that only a 1% of the GDP. So my question is that, and the number two, that now the technology is being utilized in pharmaceutical very fast and very quickly. So yes, there will be a time when technology will connect to the doctor, and from doctor they will get the prescription online. That would be the time when probably some companies will come forward and they act with the patient. But at present, it seems not possible that we go directly to the patient. So that's the point.
Just as a counter to that, and again, just as a discussion and coming from trying to dive deep, like all technological advancements comes from trying to think afresh, right? And try to reassess the situation and create a solution. Now, I get a medicine which has a box, which has a booklet explaining all the use cases, the side effects, and everything, right? The purpose of that is obviously for the pharmacist and the doctor, but also to educate the user as well, to make sure that I understand by law, right? Now, I sometimes wonder, what will it take that it has a QR code, that strip or that box that I get has a QR code, and I can just scan that, and I immediately get all the side effects, the use cases, how it has to be administered, all that information at that counter immediately. That's beyond the solution, right? That's now thinking that the pharmaceutical company, and this is just one solution. I'm not saying that this is the only thing that you're looking for. But as a user, is technology there to help me connect with you and make my experience better?
Yes, I agree with you. That can be connected. But again, we have to come back to the main core issue, is that we have to graduate from the chemical industry to biotech and the emerging portfolios. Yeah. Like, for example, if you are using any vaccination, then it is more easier to plant the chip or take the data and all that. But with the existing portfolio of pharmaceutical, it's a bit difficult. I'm not saying it's not possible. It is possible, but it will take a long time to develop that kind of technology, where the confidence level and security is going to be maintained between the doctor and patient.
Okay, so I'm going to loop in the, sir, please, go on. You have a question for that. Please, go on.
The pharmaceutical industry, as Nadeem Sahib has explained, because of the regulatory barrier, we cannot approach directly to the consumer. Understood. Because this is a regulatory barrier we have. But trust me that indirectly, pharmaceutical industry is working a lot to create awareness. I am from a Martin Dow Pharmaceutical, and I'm sure my other friends are also doing a lot of activities. I mean, recently we have introduced one awareness program, Rakho Apna Khayal. That is the condition before diabetes, pre-diabetes condition. So, of course, everybody knows that diabetes has one of the highest prevalence in the country, in Pakistan. Or ek koshish ye thi कि we should avoid people getting into the diabetic condition by changing their lifestyle, food habit, and everything. So I think pharmaceutical companies are doing a lot of activities to create awareness. And second is, that in the previous panel, One of the panelists was from Davago, the CEO of Davago, and they will also confirm that and witness that pharma industry is working very closely with all the pharmacies, pharmacy channels, trade channels, by giving them a lot of knowledge base and telling them what the good dispensing practices are, how to store the product in a more efficient manner, temperature controlled and everything. So we are providing a lot of training to the pharmacies at all level in Pakistan. And this is one of the big contribution, I think, the pharmaceutical industry. We cannot come forward, we cannot claim, but at the back we are working with the patient and for the benefit of the patient.
Can I
As we know that we cannot approach the patient directly, so as a responsible industry, we are providing information regarding the side effects and whatever the disease regarding disease and the medicines through medical community. So this is our responsibility that we should provide, because the side effects of a certain product varies from patient to patient, and this is the responsibility of the practitioner to decide what medicine should be given to patient. So on the basis of that the medical community then in return cascades down this information to the patient. Secondly, as we are saying that we are catering 90% of our medical need, but still the access of medicine is very poor, and especially in the rural areas. That's the reason, if I can just give an example, that according to the latest IMS, we are the pharmaceutical industry is selling 3 billion units according to the latest IMS. And if you see the population of 220 million, so per person spending of medicine is 1.3 pack per month, and which is around 232 rupees. So that shows that how low consumption of medicine is this. So this is good. This is good for the major cities, but if you look at the rural areas, so the access of medicine is very, very poor. So that's the reason we should utilize this forum to make sure that the access to medicine is improved through telemedicine and telehealth.
Thank you. Harun Saab, you had something to say, please.
To continue the discussion, जो barcode की आपने example दी, that is already happening. So many of the products, are barcoded where you can just scan it and get the data. Secondly, our customer is the doctor, the medical profession. So with the medical profession, many companies, almost like entire industry does a lot of work with the medical profession for the patient benefit. So we have camps of glucose monitoring and blood pressure, and so we're in direct contact with the patient as well. Now with the digital technology, there is we have to admit that the pharmaceutical industry has been very slow to the digital space, globally as well as locally. So globally, the traction has been there now. All the MNCs are on a digital platform very, very aggressively to go and approach the patient directly. So similarly, Pakistan is actually growing. So you see a lot of patient awareness programs which is happening on the digital media, and people are actually getting to it and aspiring to learn more about it. जैसे अभी diabetes की बात की my colleague, we also launched a similar program, and it was overwhelming response from the patient population. They want to learn more about it. So it's not that, and I think the good thing is that we have a very young population. So their data is always going to be skewed towards, not use of medication. People are generally healthy. So as we grow older, the usage will come. So, the industry is beating it. There is hardly any consumption. That's the fact as well. The second fact is that we have a very, very young population which doesn't need a medicine. They need burgers and they need Coca-Colas right now.
They'll be needing a lot of medicine if they continue on that.
We're just waiting for it.
Yeah. Right, Ji. First of all, I'll just take a little pause here, and I would like to thank, I'm not ending the panel as yet, but I'm just going to take this pause and thank the panel for allowing me to challenge and bring the other perspective, the layman perspective it is out there, and maybe we can take that out. So please put your hands together for this wonderful panel to not just follow the script and allow to challenge things a bit over here as well. Secondly, sir, another concept that's coming in, and I'll not stop, I'll continue to march on that road. Another thing that is very heavily discussed globally now when we are talking about pharmaceutical companies changing their mindset now to become from a product-centric or research should always be there, but let's just say to a more patient-centric entity, that are the cultures within organizations ready to quickly move towards that change? For example, is the word patient or the phrase patient experience, the patient experience, prevalent in day-to-day discussions? Are we talking about that? Are, there is, obviously this you can take it to any level, but there are suggestions that even having a chief patient officer within organizations to continuously talk about patients. Do you think this is an area, because these changes will, when this momentum, the inertia which we have right now, that can be changed and made much more flexible. So do you think that these conversations need to happen within these organizations as well?
I think these is already happening. You
Great.
know, when we look at the global world, we're very much connected to the global world now with the digital technology. So patient safety is something, you know, which is a patient-centric thing. And the whole world is talking about it. Even Pakistan has started talking about it. So from every perspective, the healthcare industry has to talk about the patient safety. From the manufacturer's point of view, from the pharmacy point of view. So it's being talked about. People are talking about, you know, when we're designing the packaging, we're designing the product, we are actually seeing how the patient is going to consume. What will be the easiest method, you know, of delivering the medicine? So there's a lot of technology is being used, and people are talking about what's the best, the effective, how you do the patient safety mechanism. So the culture is there. It's just the right atmosphere, which I think is growing in the overall healthcare sector, especially in the pharmaceutical industry. Because pharmaceutical industry, the patient safety starts from there. Because if the product is not manufactured correctly, then, you know, the patient will be affected. So the entire patient safety culture, the sphere is coming along. We have a long way to go. For example, pharmacovigilance is something which the industry is a global phenomena where you actually report the side effects. Now, reporting the side effects is not something where I have a fever taking this medication, or, you know, I vomited taking this medication. You have to fill a lot of forms to report the side effects, which is not a culture in this country, you know. When you talk about the pharmacovigilance in the global world, there are people actually working on pharmacovigilance and reporting the side effects. You open the FDA website, you see hundreds of side effects being reported daily. The data is being gathered to see how the patient is behaving and what is the best effective way of improving the medications. So Pakistan is still in infancy stage, but I think we're going to go very fast with this technology and the regulatory space coming in.
Wonderful, G. And if there are any questions from the audience that you would like to put forward, I will take one or two. Otherwise, I'm going to request the panelists to make their concluding remarks on this. Any questions from the... Oh, we have a question. We'll keep it very, very crisp. 30 seconds. Please, sir.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Latif Sheikh, and I'm a health system pharmacist. I think it's very pleasant to hear from Harun Saab that pharmaceutical industry is making certain strides toward the patient safety. My own experience and exposure in this country has been that we seldom really talk about patients. Neither the pharmaceutical industry talk about patients, and in a way, if I may say so, physician would not talk about the patients also. What the world has come on to now is a multidisciplinary approach. There is no such thing as a single physician or a single pharmacist taking care of the patients. It's a team. It's a physician, pharmacist, nutritionist, physiotherapist, rehabilitation medicine, nurse, and on and on. Now, if you do some sort of a forecasting, you will see that invariably, when you say patient-centric, it's the patient himself is going to be taking care of himself. He probably might not have any healthcare professional to give him a day-to-day. So these are some of the elements I think the pharmaceutical industry would be requiring or would be sort of exploring. How do you enhance the patient safety and how do you enhance the patient care? Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I think reiterating and congratulating the good work. But any comment in response to that that is required? Good enough, sir.
I think I agree what he is saying, and then we should work on this patient safety. That's very important.
I think the patient safety, the way it starts is from the product development. When you develop and introduce any new product, you always consider all the quality parameters for there. And then when you are doing your marketing, when you are conveying your message to the doctors, when you are ensuring the good dispensing practices, you're not overselling your medicine, you're not like influencing anybody to do that. You are really taking care of patient safety. Now there has to be a reporting mechanism, as Arun sir was saying, pharmacovigilance. And this has to be, I think, at a national level, it has to be more advanced and more easy for the patient to report such things or doctors to report such things at a national level.
Thank you so much. I'm going to start from the other side now. Arun saab, aapse pehle main lunga your parting comments. What is one thing you feel that this industry should be focusing more and immediately in trying to enhance the patient experience and play its role in the ecosystem of letting digital, utilize digital at its most?
I think I'll repeat, go toward the patient safety and get the patient involved in the whole process and work closely with the patient and the entire healthcare space. Otherwise, you will not be able to satisfy the patient needs and requirements.
Brilliant, Ji. Sir, so he spoke about work closely with the patients. How do you suggest that the pharmaceutical industry can work closely with the, given the regulatory framework, with the patient? What steps can you take?
Yeah, there are several societies available here, where there are patient advocacy groups are available here. As a pharmaceutical industry, we need to work closely with them to create awareness and to make sure that the right medicine is being prescribed. We have to work with the doctors. And we have to make sure that right medicine is being dispensed. So we have to work with the pharmacy. So as a pharmaceutical industry is not only producing medicine, but we have to make sure that till the medicine is consumed properly. So we have to take the responsibility to that level. And this is what the patient-centric approach is.
So absolutely, thank you very much. And as again a user or sitting on the other side, I wonder sometimes that my rights and interests could either be safeguarded by the government or the policymakers, or I then look up to the pharmaceutical companies because you being the biggest enablers in this ecosystem, not those individual doctors or even hospitals or other health tech startups, you are the ones who can actually safeguard all this for me. So, Toki sir, do you think that the pharmaceutical, other than creating the right product, making sure that it is safe, using the best technology to create the research product, they can also continue to work more on enhancing the user experience? For example, we don't have a system here. It's unfortunate. We don't have a system which is a GP-driven system, right? So in our healthcare, we don't have a GP-driven system, and generally, and we go to different people at one point or the other. And now again, I speak personally from somebody who takes care of two elderly parents. I sometimes fail to make sure that the medicines that have been assigned by one doctor have to be continued or not continued, or did the doctor in his limited time had the complete knowledge? Obviously, data will take care of that. But do you think that this is so urgent a problem that pharmaceutical companies, beyond the scope of work that you are doing, should be trying to create some more information or some awareness about that?
I think we are already doing that, and the key to this is that we should have a very good coordination and communication with the medical community to ensure that the right medicine is prescribed and the patients also follow the prescription given by the practitioner. So that is still on, and certainly it needs further improvement into this. But I think that the pharmaceutical industry is, now have started thinking towards patient now, rather than just thinking about the medical community only. So you will see in future that more patient-focused approaches will be adopted by the pharmaceutical industry to make sure that the right and effective and affordable medicines are available for the...
That's certainly music to my ears, and I am sure music to everybody's ears. That's the kind of a focus we need, continued focus. Thank you so much, Toki Saab. Nadeem Saab.
I think you guys don't have to worry about the safety and quality of the product because we are a generic manufacturing industry, Pakistan. We do not have our own molecule or raw material or our own research. So whatever we produce here is already being produced in America, Europe, or in Western countries or developed countries, where there's a complete process of safety and all the protocols being followed. And normally we launch that product after 15, 20 years in Pakistan. So I don't think so that there's a serious issue of the safety or any kind of risk involved in the medicine. If it is being involved and something comes after 20, 40 years later, then we follow the same route. We withdraw the product from the market.
So, Mr. Jab, I cannot agree more. I think you have perfectly hit the nail on its head, that it's not really the safety and the efficacy that we are here to talk about or worried, and hence we are now talking more about how the pharmaceutical, this is one role that you're doing wonderfully well. But what can be done beyond that, because this is well taken care of, that will enhance the experience of the person and not, make him through or help as the biggest enabler to that. So Toki Saab.
I would like to add one more thing,
Yeah.
that after, sharing that 90% of medical need is being catered by the pharmaceutical company, but after the, onset of COVID, now we, as an industry, have started thinking to go beyond this, because at this particular point in time, we are, dependent as far as cancer products, which is called oncology products, or biologicals, or vaccines of different kind. So we are dependent on the import. So we have not been able to, locally manufacture these important medicines. So the industry is very seriously thinking to get partnership with, multinational companies, and especially from China. We should be, we are looking forward to use the platform of CPAC as well, so that the leading API manufacturers or oncology products manufacturers, they should, have a collaboration and partnership with national pharmaceutical companies. So in this way, we will be able to make sure that these critical medicines are available in Pakistan at affordable price, because we always, on daily basis, we see there is lots of shortages of these critical medicines in Pakistan. So it will improve the access of the medicine, and similarly, it will, reduce the imports, imports, and this would be termed as import substitution. So for this, on using this platform, the industry is ready. We would be needing the support of medical community, and most importantly from DRAP and the government, that they should provide us incentives and a stable policies, so that we should look forward to have this deficiency covered by ensuring the manufacturing locally. और वो कहते हैं ना कि मिल के जब हम काम करेंगे हम सब, तो वो जैसे किसी शायर ने कहा है ना कि खुद ब खुद टूट कर गिरती नहीं जंजीर कभी, खुद ब खुद टूट कर गिरती नहीं जंजीर कभी, बदली जाती है बदलती नहीं तकदीर कभी. हमें बदलनी है अपनी तकदीर.
That is wonderfully put, Ji, and thank you very much. Let me just add that despite the challenges that I tried to pose, which were very easily handled by everyone, obviously with experience, this is a testimony, the fact that a summit like this is happening, which is partnered, which is sponsored, which is partnered, where you guys have presence from the pharmaceutical industry on board, trying to make sure that these messages, these words are spread, is a testimony in itself, that mindset is there to try and create that kind of a patient experience. So please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for the pharma industry representatives here, who are leading this wonderful, wonderful change for our betterment of our health in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot more that can be said, but then lunch cannot be halted for longer than this. I will like to invite another industry stalwart, Shahzad Khan Saab, so the Managing Director of CCL Pharma, to please join us on the stage and maybe have the Fantastic Five on the stage right now. And I will request my AIM consulting team to bring certain shields, please. So, sir, मैं नाम देके announce कर देता हूँ. So, सबसे पहले जी हारून कासिम साहब, please. Tokirul Haq Sahab ji, Santa. And of course, Javed Ghulam Mohammed Sahab. And Sayyid Nadeem Ahmed.